Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin a totally different thing. We're going to be doing the same shit on Purity and Industry, which is the other map that is a poop scoop for Zerg. Song? There's no music playing. If you hear music, that's in your house or in your browser. All right, hang on. The gong has been sounded. The students are being assembled into the class. People are paying attention, sitting up straight in their chairs, not messing about on their phone or playing World of Warcraft on their laptop or waiting in the queues on WoW Classic. It is time to learn about StarCraft, specifically on the map that is terribad for Zerg in the current season. But do we give up when a map is difficult?
No!
We try our best. We study it. We use our brains and our thoughts and our words to create an amazing plan to defeat anyone who would stand against us.
Yay!
Let's begin. Okay. First, let's lay out some facts of this map. I will show you the map here. We'll look at it and we'll think about it. This is the map. Welcome to Purity and Industry. This is a rather large map. It's got a nice asymmetry in the aesthetic. One side is the Purity, that's up here in the north and west, and the other is the Industry in the south and the east. This is the only map we have this season with an island base, and all of these are air slow zones. So it's pretty funky, pretty different, pretty far from what we would call a standard macro map. There's even a gold base down here at the bottom, which has only come into play a few times. So how does this map end up playing out? We could probably start with just a basic expansion pattern and what that feels like. So if you're Zerg, this is another one of the maps that is not really favored for you just based on the layout. It's kind of a tough fight. Island bases are definitely a Terran thing. You can take them as Zerg with a drop or nidusing to it, and Protoss can take it with a warp prism. So whoever wants this island base could take it. There's nothing special about it in terms of bonus resources, but sometimes people will forget to scout it. And you can also defend this reasonably well by having some spores around or cannons or turrets and stuff. So let's see what's going on here. To start with the main base here, the main base is heckin' huge. Look at this. There's all this space here, which is exceptionally large compared to other maps. That means that they could stage drops here, stuff boosts over, you drop things. Also Nidus could happen here. So let's say this whole area is kind of a uniquely dangerous aspect of this map. To spore up this base and feel safe, it's kind of silly because they could drop up here, they could drop here, they could drop here, and they could drop there. So the main base is already kind of weird and not the best for Zerg, I think. This is a potential trouble spot for cannon rushes. This is a lot of the time where they'll put some pylon here, cannon, pylon, and then robo, and then they'll get some cannons up here and cannon rush you. So watch out for that spot. Let's say we take this as our second base, and then this is where it gets kind of tricky. Kind of like Golden Wall, there are 3 bad options. So which option you take depends on kind of what your composition is going to be and what your game plan is. So this is probably the most standard and normal third to take. And the way that this is difficult is it's extremely far from the second base by distance. So from this natural wall off spot to the third base is about maybe 2 creep tumors, like full length creep tumors to the third base, which is not the best. And then this obstacle here is a bit of a yikes. this thing right here. This area, basically the pathing gets really messed up. Say you have units right here. Are they going to go this way or this way? You don't really know. So you have to be paying pretty close attention to how your army is shaping up based on this territory. So having your army, I think here is the ideal spot, because if the opponent attacks up, say they have an Immortal Sentry all in, which I've died to on this map, they attack up here, you want to have an arc that looks kind of like this, so that they have to attack uphill into a concave and you can block. For the fourth base, if you did this expansion pattern, you would probably take it here. It's another high ground spot. They would also have to attack uphill here. But this makes it tricky because where do you keep your army? Do you keep your army here? Or do you keep your army here? Or do you try to push up and control the center? This would be the more ambitious place to defend, where you could have a Ling at the watchtower, and you could be trying to creep in all directions. So you're creeping down and forward. You're creeping from the natural to the third. You creep to the main like this. So this is all creeped. And then you creep from the third to the fourth, and the fourth to either this is a fifth or this is a fifth. Or this. You have another set of options here for where you take the fifth. You could take this as your fourth. The thing with this map that makes it tricky to expand toward your opponent is some of the obstacles, which I'll show you here in a second. Let's clear up some of this. Okay. If we took this as the fourth base, we could be pushing toward the center to control this, but we've got about 6 problems between us and the opponent that could make defending things pretty dicey. One of them is this debris, these are rocks, and then there's like the vents right here. So these vents are a vision blocker, also a vision blocker here, and then rocks here and rocks here. So this makes it pretty tricky if they put tanks on one side of it and then they put their Marines on the other side and they're shooting at this base. It's really difficult to defend. And you also don't have a good flank option either. So say you had some Lings that go over here. If they try to flank, there's also some congestion right here. So this might be, if you're going to expand like this, I think you would have to go Roach Ravager, because Roach Ravager is the fastest army that you can spike into that is good at breaking rocks. You also have these rocks here, these rocks here. What else is there? There's some rocks here. Rocks are not good for Zerg. The only exception is maybe in ZVZ when you have lurkers and you're defending. But aside from that, rocks help Terran and Protoss more than they help Zerg. Kill the rocks, kill the rocks. Destroy the rocks or leave them. Zerg should pretty much always destroy them. They're really bad for you. And it's a good activity for your units. Say you have your Roach Ravager army here, and they're getting bored. They might as well just shoot this, or shoot this, or shoot this. The thing that you have to watch out for, though, is if they're attacking the rocks, they won't attack Hellions that drive by, for example. So you do have to pay attention. So we listed off some of these rock locations. This is one expansion pattern. I don't know about this one. I've tried that a little bit. I don't think it's too good against Terran and Protoss, but I'm open to being surprised. You could go Roach Ravager Swarm Host with that expansion pattern. So you go 4 and then maybe 5 like this, and you're pushing through. The Roach Ravager breaks all these rocks, and if you can get the Swarm Hosts here by the Watchtower, you could throw stuff into the main. There's not really a guarantee that they're going to have a bunch of valuable stuff right here. A lot of times they put their tech back here, like they put their stargates here or here. They have quite a bit of space in this back corner, and this is a very nice defensible spot. They also put some tech over here. So those are kind of the main spots. So if you did a scout, you could do an overseer scout from here and just send the guy like this. And you would see pretty much everything with that expansion or that scouting pattern. Just to talk about the overall dynamic of this, because this is kind of a big question mark, right? You don't know how this impacts the gameplay just by looking at it, because you don't know how much it slows your units. So to break down this hot mess in the airspace, these are little circles of a slow zone, but there are slight gaps between them. They're touching each other, so in here you're going to get slowed, but it is a circle, so as soon as you're free of that, it's actually faster, like normal speed right here. This is all normal speed, so you can take the long way around and not have the speed penalty, or you can fly directly through and you do pay a penalty, but it's not really that much. It ends up still being a little bit faster than most main base to main base air rush for most maps. It's still quicker. So what that means is if Protoss in their infinite wisdom goes for a Stargate and puts this bad boy like right here, and they chrono boost an Oracle out of it, that Oracle is going to be in your main base so fast that a 335 Spore Crawler is too late. So you would have to make a 325 Spore. 325 Spore would be safe here. Here you could probably do 330 or something. They pretty much always send it this way. So you need your spores here, spore here, spore, spore. If you wanted to make this safe, you could add spore, 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 but this is huge. So I do feel like Spire play is going to be strong on this map, just because you could use corruptors to contest this airspace. There's a carrier build that I believe SOS did to somebody recently. You rush out 2 to 3 quick carriers, and it's actually pretty tough for Zerg to deal with unless you've been spamming queens the whole time. So this is a good map for queens and playing defensive. We talked about this map on the Pylon show, and Special and who is it? Petit Drogo, they were in the call with us, and Vibe as well. And we're saying that this is definitely not a great map for Zerg, but Special seemed to think that if Zerg can get up to a late game composition and get all these bases, it ends up being pretty good for them. So it's one of those, try your best to defend stuff. You could also play it kind of risky and exciting and just try to Nidus people. I've also put a proxy hatch here, and then I let the Protoss mess with this for a little bit and then do a second proxy hatch here with some spines. And then you can use some spines to break this wall. You take Ling speed and you run your Lings across. That's a way that you could cheese this map if you wanted to. And I did play a ZVZ where the opponent had one dropper lord as soon as their lair was done, and they took a drone over here and they took the island base, which ended up allowed them to get more gas than I expected. I thought I was against 2 base muta, but I was against 3 base muta. So scouting this is really important. If it's ZVZ, you could just put an overlord there so you know whether that's being taken. And then this is something that I haven't seen used very much, but it is a gold base, so it could potentially be taken. The main times that I've taken this base are when I get cannon rushed right here and I need to expand elsewhere. So this base, maybe it's getting cannon, but I let it finish because I want to buy some time. I can use one of the larvae from the drones, or one of the larvae to make a drone, send it down and over, take a gold base, take another base. You have lots of places that the Protoss would have to check if you took an alternate expansion if you got cannon rushed. So let's see what kind of expansion pattern I might like to do. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3. We could try this and just see how it plays out as an initial pass. This would be for going Roach Rabbit or Swarm Host, where your objective is to clear this, and then hold this and harass this way. And then put burrowedlings here, 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 here. They probably would have had this space. This one also might have been taken as a third. Overlord here. And then Overlord, 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 Overlord. Vision around. Vision, vision. If it's Phoenixes, obviously Overlord speed and pull them back. Both this and Golden Wall are very good Overlord speed maps. Basically, as maps get weirder and more annoying for Zerg, information is better, I think. And also, we don't have great attack options. Because to attack into 2 base, you would have to attack uphill past these rocks, which sucks. So, probably not going for 2 base all-ins as Zerg. Might not be the best. If you can get up here, then you do have an even ground attack path this way, which is nice. But if they can figure out what you're doing, they could potentially block you here. Kind of like how you could block an Immortal Sentry attack by doing this. Cool. So I will try doing this map, see what we can do. So let's type out some stuff here. We'll pause the scene switcher so we can type. Okay. Purity and industry. Let's do some facts. 1. Air stuff hits really fast. 325 Spore versus Chrono Oracle. Island base can be a factor. Get vision of it and or use it. Fact number 3. Lots of rocks, which are bad for Zerg. Break them if you can. Another one is Watchtower. We'll say Watchtowers are strong. Hold it if you can. Another one is Creep aggressively, as that favors you leading into the late game. Another one is Zerg sucks at attacking early here. Try to survive into Hive Tech. Okay. And then game plan. Let's say for this one, we could do, let's just try this one to start and see how this feels. 3 base, Queen, Roach, Ling, Ravager. Let's do this. Break rocks and push creep super fast and very far. And then 3 would be hold Watchtower, watch minimap for drops / harass, and then 4, be as obnoxious as possible with Stormhost / Nidus harass. And then 5 would be get into Spire Tech with good upgrades. Since this is a big map, going for lots of upgrades in a late game is going to be good. So if you have that Spire, just keep those upgrades spinning. And then 6 could be Broodlord, Corruptor, Lingbane, Queen, Endgame. Maybe Vipers. That could be an option too. Do you think going full air every time on this map would be needed? No. It would be strong, perhaps. For Zerg, this one also is kind of similar to Golden Wall in that instead of going for Stormhost Nidus, you could go for Mutas. Both Stormhosts and Mutas fit in the category of units that are good at harassment, but they're not very good at sustained direct fights in the open field. But this map and Golden Wall both don't have a very open field to fight in. There are a lot of rocks and choke points, and this map has a bunch of airspace that's pretty weird. So I think both of those maps are good for those styles. And part of the reason I haven't been super successful on these two, I think is because I'm not as practiced with the Stormhost and Muta stuff. I played a lot of Hydra Lingbane over the course of Legacy of the Void. Lingbane Muta I am more comfortable with, but I've been seeing a lot of mech on this map, I think. So cool. Hopefully this helps break down these maps. Purity and Industry is aesthetically pretty cool, so I think you'll have some pretty interesting games on it. I'm looking forward to playing it more. I haven't vetoed it yet, but my win rate is something like 28%, so it's extremely low. And so, this shall perhaps find its way to you on YouTube. Shout out to Navarius for poking me to do this. It's one of those things that is prudent and wise, perhaps. Maybe it was fun for you.